I can already tell that people are going to bash me for these reviews because of what I have to say about both of these albums, but just listen, okay? I will explain once I start going through these. As Post Malone and Falling in Reverse both released an album today, I wanted to check them both out just to kind of see if there would be any sort of enjoyment with them, as, you know, I'm not the biggest Falling in Reverse fan, but some of the singles that were released before the record were actually nice, and with Post Malone kind of taking a more country turn and hearing a couple of the singles and being okay with them, I thought maybe this could work out, and well, I guess we'll just start out with the Post Malone country album titled F1 Trillion, because why not? He was mainly known for his rap and pop music, and now he's taken this full turn into country music, which, you know, is okay. It's fine. I like how he's not catching as much flack as, like, Beyonce and whatever, even though she's more southern than he is because she grew up in Georgia, which is a southern state, and Post Malone grew up in New York City, which is by far probably the least redneck of cities that you can have out there. I don't know, just most of this album feels like Post Malone just kind of playing off the country tropes. I mean, there are some songs that come through. I do like the opening track, Wrong Ones, and Finer Things following that up. I Had Some Help was the one single I had heard before the record that actually gave me some hope that maybe this won't sound too twangy country. And that was really about it, outside of Have a Heart with Dolly Parton, Nosedive in California Sober. Everything else just kind of followed that same boring country formula that makes country music so boring and unlistenable. It's about the same country topics over and over and over again, and this basically plays off like a rap album because there's 18 songs on here, and I believe 14 or 15 of them have features. Like, I feel like this album would have been a lot better if it was just Post Malone on a lot of these tracks. I'm not saying he can't or shouldn't have features. I'm just saying there's a such thing as over-bloating a record with features, and that's why with rap music, it's like, you know, you can understand why there would be features on rap, but when there's a 20-track album and 15 or 16 of the songs have features, it's just kind of like, yeah, you know, it gets a little tiring, it gets a little old, and I thought maybe with this record, you know, he'll have a couple country artists come on and do things, but he has Tim McGraw, Hank Williams Jr., Morgan Wallen, Blake Shelton, Dolly Parton, Brad Paisley, Luke Combs, Twice, Lainey Wilson, Jelly Roll, because, of course, Ernest, Sierra Farrell, Chris Stapleton, Hardy, and Billy Strings feature on this record. That is way, way, way too much. It almost kind of drowns out Post Malone. Like, even when Post Malone is the best part of the song, most of the time, outside of a few times when the features come in, it just sounds like the regular country music we hear, the blandness of it all the time, and I just don't know if I can get down with this fully. Like, I commend Post Malone for trying, and in some instances it felt genuine, but this is just so forced, and I didn't need 18 tracks and an hour of this. Overall, I'll give it a 4 out of 10 for at least trying, but that's really about it. Other than that, if you want to hear bland country music, then go ahead, be my guest. This is it right here. But as I've said many times before, Post Malone has never made a great record. He is more of a singles artist, and it continues to show on this album that even when changing genres, his way of making albums just isn't sustainable and isn't all that interesting when he continues to bloat them with tracks that feel like they are just, you know, should be left on the cutting room floor and yet end up on the album to, I don't know, fill a streaming narrative. It's just always been very up and down with me for Post, and it continues to be that way even now. Now getting to the one that people are probably here for, the one they want me to talk about. That is the album Popular Monster by Falling in Reverse, the first album by them in 7 years. I say them at this point, it's just Ronnie Radke and a bunch of yes men behind him because, you know, he can't seem to take criticism and all that because, well, this album shows you that he can't. I mean, I will say this, the songs Voices in My Head and Zombified, I liked those. And even the title track and The Last Resort Reimagined were just okay. So I was kind of like, you know what, I'm gonna give it a shot. You know, maybe, just maybe there's something here to it, and, well, Oh boy, when it kicked off with Prequel and he's doing a Dear Diary type thing, it's like Tom McDonald core almost, and you can just tell that it's like, oh, this is gonna be like some sort of like political statement, or what he thinks is some sort of political statement as to the woke being after him because of stuff he's done in the past, when he's been a shitbag for years and hasn't changed what has happened to him from 15 years ago or even just 2 years ago. He's still the same Ronnie Radke and hasn't learned from his mistakes. The song All My Life is cringe because, hey, at least like I said, when Post Malone tried country music, it sounded like he tried. This was just complete and blatant, just let's do it for the memes, which can be good in some ways, but you also have to make it good. And what you know, another comparison from this to Post Malone's album is that Jelly Roll is on this song. He's just appearing everywhere. He's been on Eminem's album, Falling in Reverse's album, and Post Malone's album. 3 different genres, so I guess he's just trying to collect the infinity gauntlet of genres at this point. And a song like Bad Guy, too, it's basically him just being like, I'm the bad guy, I guess, because I do this, this, and this, or did this, this, and this. It's like, yes, you are. That's exactly what we've been trying to tell you, but yet you continue to just brush it off and not listen as us being quote-unquote haters, when it's just kind of like, you know, you did your time, you served, whatever, but at the same point in time, you still haven't changed as a person. You're still that same person with the same temperamental issues who's been arrested for multiple assaults before. So our reasoning is still pretty reasonable, and also stuff you've said on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, recently have also been very transphobic, homophobic, all this stuff. We're not pulling stuff that was like from 15 years ago. A lot of this stuff is recent, so it's not like there's hate, there's reason toward it, and I guess you're just not getting it. Watch the World Burn is all over the fucking place, and the song Trigger Warning is, well, it's something, and it's not good. And considering I liked Falling in Reverse's last album, I felt like that was a big step in the right direction, and that maybe, just maybe, Ronnie Radke's musical talents have grown with it, but he continues to lean heavy into the rap, which he can just not do. The breakdowns keep getting more and more same and simplistic as we go on here, and now that he's kind of turned into like, oh yeah, this is Tom McDonald core, or some sort of like on the song Trigger Warning and all that, it sounded a lot like MGK doing the whole pop punk thing. It's just like, I don't understand how you tailed down so much after an album that came out where everybody was like, oh, you know, that was cool. You incorporated this little space rock thing. It sounded mature, like it was nice, to doing this again. Like, I just don't get it. And the fact that a lot of the songs I like on this record, like Voices in My Head or Zombified, are anywhere between 2 to 4 years old. So it's like I've heard those singles enough already to where I can go a long time without hearing them again, even though I like them, because they've just been on the radio so much that at this point I'm tired of them. And I did think about putting Voices in My Head and Zombified in my least favorite because they just kept getting old and old more I heard them, but I'm like, you know, I do like those tracks. It's just, I need to be away from them for a little while because they've been out for so long that I don't even understand why they're here when they could have just been one-off singles, considering, you know, you started teasing this thing around 2019 and it's 2024 now, so I don't know. I don't understand. It's a bad album. I mean, what more could we have expected from Falling in Reverse? It's not great. Ronnie Radke singing, rapping, all this falls flat. The instrumentation isn't clever, and he just seems to be bouncing off and copying other people at this point in his career. So, yeah. From the little I enjoyed, this album gets a 1 out of 10 and might just be the worst thing I've heard all year. So, yeah, that's it. Those are my thoughts on these 2 albums. Would really like to hear in the comments below what you think. And again, let's be nice here. Just because I don't like these albums from these artists that you may like doesn't necessarily mean that I am attacking you personally. I'm not even really attacking them. I'm just saying why I don't like these records and why they just don't feel right to me. And if you feel differently, that's fine. I'm not here to hold a grudge, so that's it for me. Stay safe out there, and until then, I will catch you all in the next one.